Zach, you got to explain to me, how did so many people get so upside down in their trades, so underwater? I mean, how did this happen?
All right, Pops, the latest data from Edmunds showing that the average trade-in on a new vehicle, when someone goes to purchase it, is
Yes.
$5,820 underwater. Underwater meaning that the amount that the individual owes on that vehicle is $5,820 more than the trade-in value of that vehicle. The chart on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, shows what has happened in terms of negative equity over the past 5 years or so. The amount that people owed on their vehicles relative to what it was worth was going down. So people were about $4,000 underwater during the pandemic. And now, Dad, up to nearly $6,000. This is a troubling trend, especially when you consider all those people who bought cars over MSRP with markups. Used car prices were through the roof. We are going to see millions, with an M, millions of people out of the market because when they go to trade in their current car, they are absolutely underwater. They are buried, man.
Not only that, Zach, and if the average trade is $6,000 flipped, okay, where there's $6,000 of negative equity, right there, that's probably going to impact somebody's payment to refinance that $6,000 and place it into the new loan. That's going to add probably about $180 a month just to cover that negative equity. And with wholesale values continuing to go down, and those people who paid way, way, way too much coming out of the pandemic, that $6,000 number is probably going to go up. If there's $6,000 negative now, a year from now or 18 months from now, that number very well could be $7,500, $8,000, $8,500. It's not the first time that we've been confronted with huge negative equity for people in their trades, but it's the first time in a long time where we've been confronted with that and have high interest rates that we have to contend with. In the past, we had low interest rates, so it was easier to deal with that negative equity.
Absolutely. And we're going to give everyone some tips on how to minimize their negative equity if they are in a position where they want to buy a new vehicle. Need is also another category, but again, we'll give tips in just a few minutes here. I've pulled up on the screen, Dad, for everyone to look at the Experian State of the Auto Finance Market from the second quarter of this year. And the reason I pull this up, Dad, is because there's a concept called loan to value ratio, LTV. Mm-hmm. The loan to value ratio, the amount of money that a bank is willing to lend, the actual loan, to the value of the vehicle that you're purchasing, is going down back to historical norms. We saw during the pandemic banks lending 100% of loan to value, 110%, 120%, all the way up to 150% loan to value. And the data from Experian shows that starting to normalize a little bit and go back down. That is another factor that will impact these individuals who go to a dealership or go private party, whatever it is, they go to trade in, sell their current car, buy a new one. The bank's not willing to finance as much air as they were in the past. Maybe you can explain for everyone. I didn't do a great job. What is loan to value, and how does this negative equity crisis impact that as well?
Absolutely. Let's say the vehicle has a value of $10,000. If the bank were to agree to a 100% loan to value ratio, they would lend $10,000 against that vehicle because that's what it's worth. That's what it's worth retail. It's worth less than that on the wholesale side of things. Let's say you purchased a car when the banks were willing to do a 150% loan to value ratio, which means that banks were willing to finance $15,000 on that $10,000 vehicle. Now, $10,000 worth of that loan was collateralized with the vehicle itself. $5,000 of that loan is collateralized with nothing. Okay? So if you were to go bad on that loan and they had to repossess that vehicle, they're staring at a $5,000 loss minimum that they're going to have to sue you for in a deficiency balance situation.
So put that in the context of $6,000 is the average negative equity amount that someone comes to a dealership with on that trade-in. That is $6,000 that we're likely adding to the loan amount that we want to finance in our next vehicle. Mm-hmm. You saw this day in and day out in your career. It's called rolling over negative equity. Yes. Well, unfortunately for those people, or hell, Dad, I hate to say it, but maybe even fortunately for those people, the banks are not going to be financing that like they used to because the loan to value ratios are coming back down. Instead of rolling that $6,000 in on that $10,000 car note, and now you're looking to finance $16,000 on a $10,000 car, 160% loan to value. That won't get approved in today's market. It would have potentially gotten approved 18 months ago. Well, now you have to show up with either more cash down or buy a different vehicle. Those are really your only options. And that is going to be impacting millions of people here because the examples are everywhere. Dad, if you bought a Kia Telluride or a Hyundai Palisade last year, you paid over sticker, you extended the term on your financing, you got the dealer add-ons and markups because you needed that vehicle. And now you look at the wholesale values, you're going to be staring more than $6,000 in negative equity in the face. Flipping that thing ain't going to work that easily right now because you're going to end up with a bank that doesn't want to lend you 125, 135, 145% of loan to value.
This is going to fall into the category of what I used to teach my salespeople to say to a customer. 90% of our customers that come in here and trade a car, unfortunately, have negative equity. How are you planning on handling your negative equity? Okay, the banks are basically going to be saying that to customers. They're gonna say, "Well, we'll refinance maybe $2,000 of your $6,000 worth of negative equity. You've got to come up with $4,000 in cash to make up that difference." And a lot of people aren't in that financial position where they could come up with the $4,000. And with interest rates as high as they are today, that extra amount that you're financing is just making an already high payment even higher and could potentially take you from an affordable car payment to suddenly, well, as much as I'd like to do this, I can't afford to write that check every month.
All right, let's give everyone a quick tip on how they can try and mitigate their negative equity situation. Again, this only applies if you want or need to sell your current vehicle. If you can hold on to it, keep paying it off. That is absolutely the smartest financial decision. That being said, CarEdge.com/sell. We have a 100% free comparison offer tool. I don't know what else to call it. You put in your information, your vehicle that you're going to sell, that information in one place, and for free, we have aggregated the different offers from CarMax and Vroom and Echo Park and Give Me the VIN and We Buy Any Car, all in one place. You use that as your leverage with the dealership. So use it at the dealership as well, but make sure you have options. Options give you the power when you're in a negotiating position, and always negotiate the sale of your vehicle, even if it's a trade-in, at the dealership. We have a fantastic guide that my dad wrote almost 4 years ago now, Trade-in Tactics for Success. So please read that free guide and use that free tool. Resources at your disposal to help you minimize and mitigate the negative equity crisis that is ongoing in the United States right now.
Well, at least we're here to help.